Folks, hello, I'm Craig Shelton. This is The Cut. You're watching UTN 43.8, where we talk sports with you right here on this show every Sunday night from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, every Wednesday night from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. As I said in the beginning, I'm Craig Shelton, the founder of HoustonMediaWatch.com. Now, that is a media watchdog service where we, this guy Richard Walker, this guy Angelo Lawford, along with Jermaine Every, Lamont Mann, and others, well, we kind of keep an eye on things here locally in the Houston media and all across the country, and we blog about it, as well as keeping up with all the local sporting events and anything that's newsworthy sports-wise around the country, whether it be as local as J.J. Watt having another great season for the Texans, or as prominent as something national with the murder investigation of one Aaron Hernandez, formerly of the New England Patriots. We got it all for you, folks, either on that website or right here on this show, The Cut, right here on UTN. As I said, this is Angelo Lawford. This is Richard Walker. You can see the Twitter handles right there on the screen. We encourage you folks to follow us on Twitter, and it won't take but a second, and you can see the Facebook pages, and you can follow us also on Facebook. We encourage you to do so and to let us know what you think. Talk to us a little bit. We love to interact with you folks on social media. Today, guys, what we want to do is we're going to get the show started this week, talking a little bit of NBA, but I can't help but, just for a moment, and we'll get to this in depth a little bit later in the show, but just for a moment, I gotta say, this whole situation with Aaron Hernandez has gotten more bizarre and more bizarre by the moment. And as I said, we will address it later in the show, probably around the third or fourth segment of the show. We'll get to it, but more investigations, a second murder investigation, more arrests, just an unbelievable set of circumstances going on right now for Roger Goodell's NFL, former NFL player at this time, Aaron Hernandez. All right, guys, let's get it started. We're a little ways past the NBA draft. By the time you folks see this show, we pre-tape these shows. So by now, folks have heard the scuttlebutt on Sports Talk Radio. You've heard it all over the TV, but you haven't heard it from the Cut. You got to see what my guys think about this. Right. So let's go ahead and start with Angelo, since he hadn't been with us in a few weeks. Angelo, off the top, and I think let's keep a local perspective on it. We know the Rockets took that early second round pick in the draft. Isaiah Canaan out of Murray State. He's a 6-foot point guard, folks. If you don't know much about him, he can really fill it up. He's not afraid. This guy will take big shots. He'll make a lot of shots. There is some misconception about his work in regard to being a true point guard and whether or not he's the proper guy to have on the court when you got a guy like James Harden. But no, he is a good point guard. He's a facilitator when he has folks that can put the ball in the basket. If he gets in a situation where if it's a situation where he's on the court and James Harden is not on the court, he's a guy that can take some shots from you, that can do some scoring for the Rockets, but he's more than a willing and able facilitator as a true point guard. So in your opinion, Angelo, with the Rockets making this move, Daryl Morey has a great resume with second-round draft picks. Great resume. Chandler Bangs, I like to call him, is the one that stands out right now. What do you think about going after a scoring-type point guard? Is the Rockets sending some type of a signal to Jeremy Lin? Do we see the Rockets maybe try to make a move with Jeremy Lin? What do you think about this, Angelo?
Yeah, I do believe it's focused around Jeremy Lin. I think they are going to make a move to try, or to at least try and move him. That's some of the scuttlebutt that I've heard, that he's on the trade block. And that draft pick certainly would indicate that that's a possibility. I would say. So,
Richard, you agree with that? You think that Jeremy Lin is a candidate? And let me ask it in these terms: is he a true candidate to be moved, or is it more a situation where Daryl Morey is just probably being Daryl Morey and I'll listen, but is it really I think aggressively trying to move?
Well, I don't think he's aggressively trying to move. I think he's preparing himself. Mainly, I think the other shoe that has to drop first is what's going to happen with Dwight Howard, because that's what's ultimately going to determine how they shape the roster. I think the draft of Isaiah is going to help them be more versatile. It's going to give them a different package. He obviously needs more scorers, which they found out, the hard way in the Oklahoma City series. So you know, it makes perfect sense for them to draft him. I don't think Jeremy Lin necessarily per se is on the block, but he's definitely a piece that can be moved very quickly. I think, you know, and you know, Darren Morey knows this. Jeremy Lin is not going to yield much right now. He may let him play out the season, see if he can get some more value out of him, and then, you know, possibly move him next year. Because you got a hot free agent market next year also.
Yeah, that Jeremy Lin contract becomes a little bit more advertising to another GM. Actually, next year more so than this year. But I wouldn't consider him a unmovable contract because Darren Morey doesn't do those type of deals typically. Let's look at how about I won't say trade rumors, but. And I'll start here with you, Richard. If you were the Rockets, and we know about Dwight Howard, I'm not asking that question, but if there's any move that you can make to help improve this team through trade or through free agency, outside of Dwight Howard, what would be with your GM hat on, what would be your move?
My move would be to go, for all intents and purposes, go to Kmart and catch this blue light special that they got going on in Boston. And there's one guy that's name is not coming up, and that's Rajon Rondo.
Right.
Before he was injured, let's not forget, folks, Rajon Rondo, and a lot of people, a lot of analysts consider him to be one of the top, if not the top point guard in the league. He defends well, he can score when he needs to, and he's a great facilitator. I think he averaged like 11 assists one season. I mean, he's the type of guy that can be the quarterback of your offense, and you kind of take some of that burden off of Harden's shoulders, allow him to be the true scorer that he is. Now you're looking at a 25-point per game Harden, plus or minus with D12. So that's the move that I would be pursuing is Rajon Rondo. I think you get him for cheap too.
Nah, and I guess I'll go to Angelo in response to your question and let him elaborate your point. And let him elaborate on it. If the Rockets make a move, you just drafted Isaiah Cannon. If you make a move for a guy like Rondo, that means that Jeremy Lin contract has to be a part of that, unless it was already a part of a previous deal that brought Dwight Howard in. But if for some reason you end up with, if you were able to go out and get a guy like Rajon Rondo and Patrick Beverley, boy, I like the way that sounds with the aggressiveness and just that flat out nasty mean streak that a guy like Rondo has. Then you get a guy like coming off the bench to back him up like Patrick Beverley. That would be pretty outstanding, I think, from an intensity and from a defensive standpoint. Put your GM hat on. Would you strike down the Rajon Rondo scenario Richard threw out? What would you do?
No, I wouldn't strike it down. I actually like that name. I also like LaMarcus Aldridge. A trade for him would be solid. And David West from Indiana. I think that would be a nice pickup too if they could, because I think another big man could help Ashik out. You have that the twin tower, so to speak, if you kind of have that kind of lineup. Yep. So I think that could help.
Real quick, let's keep it NBA, obviously, and we're running out of time on this first segment. But your thoughts, real quick, on all the interactions between what happened with KG and that situation and what's going on now as a part of Brooklyn with the Celtics. 2/3 of the Celtics front line taking off for Brooklyn. What you think about that?
Yeah, I guess Doc Rivers knew what shoe was about to drop, I guess. So and he didn't want to be a part of a rebuilding project.
But do Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett now make those guys the second best team in the East? Are they third? Are they fourth behind the Pacers in the league?
It's possible. It's possible. Obviously, everybody's trying to reach Miami status, but I don't know if that move for Brooklyn puts them over the hump over Indiana. If Indiana maintains their whole roster and then they bring back a healthy Granger, I don't know if it's for certain that the Brooklyn Nets are the next team up.
I'm in a school of thought after what I saw this year with Indiana against the Heat, that they maybe try to move. I would try to move Kevin Granger and get some help wherever you feel you need it for him. I don't like his injury history, and I think you have enough growth and development with other players to really move along without him. Talk a little bit, Richard. Give me about 1 minute Doc Rivers moving to the Clippers, what does that do for the Clippers?
Well, number one, more so than anything else, this was a Chris Paul retention move more than anything else. I think.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the NBA.
You know, it sucks for Vinny Del Negro, but hey, that's how business works.
No, Denny Bell Negro sucks for Denny Bell Negro.
He
To
took
be
them
honest
to the
with you.
playoffs, man. I mean, he was not a bad. You can't say he did a bad job.
They had the best record they ever
They had
had.
the best record that they ever had. Come on.
Once
Craig,
they
a
got
couple of
Chris
years
Paul,
ago, if you and I bought tickets to the Clippers games, we'd be starting at center power forward.
you didn't buy tickets to the Clippers game this year. You bought tickets to the Clippers game because of Chris Paul, not because of that coach.
Right. Well, I'm saying
that coach has
where does
done
that
nothing for that
franchise get that mantra where, you know, we they feel like they're in elite status now? I don't know where that comes from. Now they're a good team, and I think they were heading in the right direction. Obviously, like I said, the move to bring Doc Rivers in is to bring a Chris Paul friendly coach in and attempt to lure him back in. And I'm pretty sure he had a hand in orchestrating that deal, or at least maybe he hinted that, you know, this is the kind of guy I like to play for, and they went out and, you know, we got the guy that they think would help save him.
You know, nobody's gonna sell Vinny Del Negro on this Negro, no doubt about that. Hey, look, I'm sorry, that was horrible. I know, but I did wait a week after Juneteenth to throw that one out there. At least I'm not robbing Bob Stoops' house. Look, folks, we're gonna get ready to run to a break here in a second. Pay a couple of bills. I got my man Angelo Lawford from HMW, Richard Walker from HMW, and when we come back from this break, I want to talk a little bit about something we know about the Dwight Howard free agency frenzy. Let's call it that. We know the Houston Rockets are one of the top two teams. Texas seems to be the place, either here or Dallas. I want to ask a question. You guys can think about it during the break. If Dwight Howard were to become a Houston Rocket via free agency, whose team would this be? Would it be Dwight Howard's team, or would this be James Harden's team? How would that play? What do you guys think about that? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run to a break, let these guys simmer on that a little bit, and when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more NBA with you folks right here on The Cut. I'm Craig Shelton hanging out. We'll be right back.